Greetings, fellow carbon-based bipeds. I am Scott Rose, and you are watching Explosions and Stuff. Today, I'll be reviewing the 1992 film Mission of Justice, starring Jeff Wincott, Bridget Nielsen, Matthias Hughes, and Billy Sly Williams. An overview of the movie? After someone he arrested is released by his superior and goes on to beat his girlfriend to death, Kurt Harris quits the police force. Not long after this, his friend and mentor is murdered by the leader of a cult who wants to take over the city as mayor. Now a civilian, Harris goes undercover in the organization to find the truth and get justice for his mentor. The pros of this movie? Well, first of all, the action in this movie just starts right away. I mean, seriously, the first scene of this movie is some bad guy getting thrown through a window. And I don't mean the window's open and he gets tossed gently out of an open window. No, the window's shut and this guy goes through the glass face first, just breaks it with his face and then goes tumbling out and then gets arrested because he was beating his girlfriend. That was the first scene of the movie. You know just by watching that scene, hey, the action in this movie is going to be pretty damn good. Way to go. Moving on a bit, but kind of still in the same vein, the action scenes in this movie are fantastic. They are glorious and beautiful. I mean, yes, the first action scene in the movie, the first real fight scene is in this liquor store, and that action scene, it's pretty underwhelming, to be honest, but every other action scene after that is just glorious and amazing and fantastic, and it just really makes you forget just how underwhelming that first fight scene really was. It's just glorious and beautiful. I loved the action in this movie. The cons of this movie? Well, yes, the action scenes in this movie were just glorious and beautiful. Every scene between the action scenes was just slow and dragged on, and it was boring. Just a lot of talky. This movie isn't very good on the talky. It's not very well written. It's just, give me fights, give me action. That's what I want to see. Don't give me this boring chit-chat nonsense. They really screwed the pooch on that one. Just everything between the fights was just slow and hard to care about. The acting in this movie was stiff, and to say it was stiff is an understatement. Here, show emotion, cry. I'm so sad. That was what the crying was like in this movie. Here, I'm having a nice, calm conversation, and I'm mad. I'm crying because I'm sad. No! The acting in this movie was horrendous. It was garbage. It was just awful. Really, I understand this is an action movie. It's a martial arts movie. So you want to get people who know martial arts and are skilled martial artists. I get that. But at least try to find people who are relatively competent actors. Please. That's what makes me want to watch a movie. Yeah, it's got great fight scenes, but if these people can't deliver a frickin' line and they're boring as hell to watch act, I'm not going to watch the movie. I'm like, yeah, the action's cool, but everything else is crap, so turn it off. No, get people who can act in your movie. Also, this movie was just stereotype the movie. Everything was predictable. I was sitting there, and it shows the bitter cop, the ex-cop's former partner, getting into her squad car, and I'm like, he's lying in the back seat. Boom! He sits up from the back seat. I hadn't seen this movie before. I just knew this was going to happen because everything else was so predictable. It was a paint-by-numbers revenge story. Really. Again, the action was great, but the story was crap. It was predictable. It just made it made a lot of sense. It was just cliched. It made sense because I've seen it about 50 times already in movies with different titles. I'd seen it already. Do something better with your story, please. The best action scene in the movie? Well, this has to be, in all honesty, the hardest choice I've ever made for best action scene in the movie. Because every other movie I've watched, they all just kind of jumped out at me. This one's clearly the best. But in this movie, almost every action scene in this movie could have been the best one and had potential to be the best one. And all but the fight scene in the liquor store robbery was in the running to be the best one. This was so tight and so neck and neck that it was very difficult to choose, but I had to pick one. I had to. So I had to pick the chop shop scene, and it was just beautiful. The three enforcer guys for the cult go into this chop shop area, and they're trying to get money, but they found out, oh, this is actually an illegal chop shop. We need to shut it down. So they start fighting all the guys in the chop shop, all the auto techs and mechanics and whatnot, and different drills and wrenches and hammers and stuff are being used. Different tools that you would see in a chop shop, in an auto body shop, are being used as weapons, and one guy almost gets crushed by a car lift. This fight scene itself is just glorious. People are flying everywhere. Mechanics are coming out like clowns out of a clown car. It's just glorious. I loved this action scene in this movie. My overall thoughts on the movie? To be honest and blunt, I loved the action scenes in this movie, but I hated the parts between them. So I have to give this movie the Zangief. This movie had a very shallow and predictable story, with shallow, stereotypical characters, which I couldn't stand. It also had glorious action scenes, and while the first one was a bit underwhelming, the rest of them were outstanding. This was the first time a best action scene didn't just jump right out at me. If you want to see great fight scenes, this is worth a watch, but I don't see a reason to watch it more than one time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel for new action movie reviews posted every week. Also, if you have any recommendations of things you would like me to review in the future, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you and have a nice day. But I don't see a reason for anyone to watch it more than one time. Where's the stop button?